Only 5 people were able to take this to the end. These all 5 got the job.
Wow.
Every organization was adopting Anthropic. That's a fantastic tool that just focuses on solving your code as a first problem. Then it does everything around. I use Claude more than anything else now.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting journey that you have had. What's next?
I want to change this interview process. I want it to be hiring should not be interview based, but should be evidence based. If your team does not have the AI today, will they be able to survive? Hello everyone, this is Anil and welcome to AB Talks and Agents and Actions. These are the two podcast channel coming together and I want to invite Abhishek. It's not invitation. This is more about a collaboration together. So thanks Abhishek for taking out time and let's begin.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you for accepting the invite and coming all the way here to New York City for this recording.
Awesome. So Abhishek, maybe I think if I want to start, and I know you have a lot of questions, but what is the motivation of like recording these podcast videos and what is the ultimate goal?
I can tell it, but you are the one who actually started it first. So you tell me, what was your motivation behind starting?
I've been working on my communication if I want to just take it to the granular level of why I started even recording a video. So yes, it helps in communication, it helps in presentations, and more important, it gives you confidence to learn about a topic and go deeper into it. So why I started AB Talks, I talked about in a couple of other videos. But in 2023, I was writing more about AI. And like I'm very vocal on my LinkedIn. When I started writing, people were reacting okay. In 2024, when everyone was just dumping LinkedIn more with all the AI topics, I chose one of the AI topic and I built maybe a 30-second video that went viral. So that's where I got to know the video connects better with people rather than the text, which even I don't read a lot of text. I love to watch YouTube videos and podcasts. That's where I get the value. So that's the journey. And so far, I'm really proud to say if you search AB Talks on AI on Google, it is ranked and you will be able to find a lot of details that I've been doing.
Wow.
What is your motivation?
Agents and Actions, is not now as big as AB Talks for sure. But then very similar motivation lines where we started. Personally, I started this, of course, I started noticing the same thing that actually people are more, in this whole era of shorts, people are more accustomed to watching these shorts and getting the information more quickly rather than reading through, your 5-minute or 10-minute article.
Yeah.
So that was definitely something that hit me very hard. When I myself actually started watching these podcasts, it just dawned on me, right? Your perception actually changes.
Yeah.
And the knowledge actually happens when two people start talking to each other, and they just click, and there are so many other stories that you get to take away from. So you get to learn more when you're actually talking to people rather than, you are just, reading on your own. So I think that was my motivations to start my own channel.
And slowly and gradually, Abhishek, what I started feeling, I started enjoying listening to people. I started enjoying learning from their experiences. So if I summarize 40, 45 plus videos, and if I talk about the leadership, I would summarize it in one word, that is empathy. Empathy about your people, empathy about your client, empathy about your work. If you just follow this one simple principle, this is very strong, this is very bold, and it is actually making people successful.
Excellent. Yeah. So I think today, because this is a joint session of AB Talks and Agents and Actions, agreed, you host a lot of leaders on your channel. I have been fortunate enough to get a few leaders on my channel. But I think the story resonates very well. But seems like, the theme that I have chosen and the theme that you have chosen, today we want to try something, different, where we want to try something fusion, where I get to ask you a few serious questions.
Yeah.
And then you get to, answer those questions while we also try to mix with some fun and, a lot of learning that can happen. So thank you for this again. The whole reason why I wanted to actually connect with you was actually this whole experience that you have working with so many senior execs, working in the enterprises. When actually AI started happening almost 3 years back, you have this whole generational evolution of AI that has happened in the enterprise. 2026 has been no different, although the speed at which new terms, new technologies are coming up in this space is just accelerating, right? We started off the year coming off with this open claw movement. And then recently, almost like 2 to 3 months back, This news came up where a developer, kind of consumed 281 billion tokens, and he put up a website in the enterprise. Although the enterprise actually pulled it down in the few days itself, but then that started actually a different kind of an argument in the industry, which we now call it token maxing.
Yeah.
So that is something that I really wanted to speak to you of what is actually the reality, what is the hype, and how this is actually getting translated into ROI, how the clients are seeing this from various perspectives. So I think that is kind of the motion and the discussion that I wanted to have.
So that's very interesting. And I would connect this with 2022 or 2023. I think most of these hypes, news, everything is FOMO of AI. Even if you ask me, I'm not from a data science background. I come from a software engineering. I know how to build applications. But back then, when I remember, I used to request my boss, I want to learn AI. And then I had a lot of debate. And then maybe I think out of curiosity, I challenged him that I will be working in AI in 1 year. And I enrolled for a course with ISC, right? And you also we were partners over there. So since then, I think I did not look back, and this FOMO is important because when you have the FOMO about anything, then you go get deeper into it. So back in 2023, everyone is excited with ChatGPT, Wave, and yes, let's do AI. The first use case, and I was part of Anthropic workshop, the first and the common use case that everyone would have solved for is to put together all HR documents and policies and then ask question. You look back your journey and tell me how many times did you see even the policy?
Yeah, that's true.
First use case that they started with, right? And I talked about shamelessly on that workshop that everyone started picking up this use case, which started with 90% AI project fails, and the most contribution about that 90% is from these use cases we talk about.
Even if the solution is working, the practical applicability and why would anybody access it is just questionable.
I would rather go to HR and then knock the door and say do you know about when I can get my sick leave, casual leave, paid leave? It's not something you build entire system, right? But why they chose to go for? I know some of the funny examples, even in my team, people started searching on the resumes. And the funny thing in that first demo that I remember, I could search with Control F faster than building a rack pipeline of its right? So it's all started with FOMO of AI. Coming back, we as a human, we also evolved. We have evolved, and then now we are talking about that we are super species. But think about it's an evolution journey. Everyone is connecting with OpenAI API, and then started asking questions, general question that everyone is aware about, and they could find easily on Google. But as it gets advanced, I think in GenAI's place, Perplexity did amazing when it started showing you the tracing from where I get this article. This Google is not able to even solve till today. If you ask something on Google, it will give you 1,000 pages. You just keep scrolling. Perplexity solved that one thing, and that's where it's a $8 billion plus company. And that's where the Agentic thing is started. What is next after Agentic? In my view, it is physical AI that is a natural evolution of powerful IoT thing. But we'll talk this a little bit late. So if you ask me the token maxing, there was a problem of awareness. Then there was a problem of adoption. Now there is a problem of fine tuning. So we all have seen the cloud thing, right? Let's go to cloud. Everyone is excited. Then we all have seen EC2 to Kubernetes. We have come a long way. The same thing gonna happen here. But yes, now we are in that circumstances where we don't know how to optimize our tokens. And that is where the token maxing. I will tell you one more story with the token maxing. In my team, earlier, their managers were asking, hey, we have to improve our token economy. So we will reward someone who's using more number of tokens. The developers found it on the wrong side. He found it incorrectly. Okay, I have to somehow get the maximum tokens. So that's where I'll get better salary, better bonuses and all. Eventually, he started agent loop, for loop and calling the APIs. That is where or the story that you told about, right? If you go to the root cause, it is the agent loop that had happened. No one has written or generated that number of line of code and is stored in the Bitbucket or the GitHub. So if you ask me the core or the right KPI for it, we have been tracking about how many number of commits you are doing, how many lines of code you have been doing. We just need to marry it with how many tokens have you used to generate this many line of code. If you ask me as a practitioner, I would say token and then number of code, which is should not be a bogus code. It should be well-written code that AI or any human could certify. that is the right KPI to measure.
Interesting. So what you are saying is not just the input, which is really the token, but the output of what actually is happening out of those tokens. What is the intelligence and what is the code that is being written? If you marry those two, at least you will be able to know how much is the wastage or inefficiency that is coming up in your system. So that's a very good point of view here. So thank you for that. Anil, that's a very, very interesting point of view that you just brought up, right? That not just the tokens, but actually the line of code that you have written. Just stepping back from the serious question, I just wanted to, now speak about this whole initiative that you have about Claude 60-day challenge, where now people are kind of, hustling and writing this code. What is your experience? Tell us more about that. And then how this whole token maxing thing is kind of leading the way from the challenge perspective and what is coming up next.
Oh, amazing. So I'll just then take time to give you why I started it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'll give you what is done over the period of time beyond like the 60 days Claude challenge. So I was interviewing a candidate and I got to know that this candidate has done some internship that I could not recognize this company. I never asked about in an interview where you have done your internship. But interestingly, because I had more time and I asked about what you done in your internship. Then he said, Anil, I have done this internship just for certificate, not for experience. And that was kind of shocking for me, why a person would do for certificate. Then he said like, Anil, the companies are coming. They're asking, where did you do the internship? And because there are not so many internship opportunities for a volume like 12 million students in India graduating every year. That's where like there are not these many opportunities. So what people had made business out of it. They are charging these students 6,000, 7,000 just to give some experience and then certificate. Then there are like credit mongers who are charging 200 rupees, 500 rupees, no association, just the certificate. That was eye-opening for me because I graduated in 2008. We all have seen recession time. People were using this as an opportunity to like, where you pay them, you get the salary, they fire you in between, your money is lost. So to me, it was like more that kind of thing happening with the internship. So then I thought, why I cannot connect them with some of my network where people are really need someone, they can get the certificate as well as experience and these people are paid as well.
Yeah.
So that was back in January. What I tried doing, I just like put up a 60 days of AI, 60 days of software engineering, 60 days of data science, data engineering, 3-4 courses, which I worked with them. It was all, I think, Google Classroom based, where one problem shows up every day. They come, do it, post it on LinkedIn and tag me. That was the only thing. It was very simple framework. But if you need to hire someone as a fresher in your team, what records you will see? You will see what is their GitHub say. Are they maintaining a lot of code, contributing, right? That's one thing. Second, how did they perform in lead code, HackerEarth, in these public platforms? So that gives you some confidence and that's where you can judge a person in 30 minutes better because they have some evidence. So these people were coming. They were showing. So the first batch was of around 30. Only 5 people were able to take this to the end and believe me, these all 5 got the job.
Wow.
Then it repeated again. More people came in, more people get the job. So far, there are 25 people without my network, without my recommendation. They got job. They got job in Samsung. They got job in SCL Tech, New Gen. Many people were signing. So that was a real motivation. How it started. Then I started connecting with the students and then I was showing, if I help you, you have to help others. So this is more like a multi-level marketing. So that's where this community itself is growing. Right now, there are close to 2,100 students as we speak and it is growing every day.
Wow.
And these 2,800 students are not just from college, they are the professional network as well. Recently, I looked at the profile. This guy was like 25 years in experience and doing Claude challenge. There are VPs, SVPs learning why coding through this platform. That was like the eye opener for me. And if you think about like this has reached to 20 different countries, this has reached to 660 plus institutions and then more than 300 organizations. So any person in your network, if these are from such a diverse background, I know that this is gonna be bigger and better every day. So each person who is graduating and getting some value, they are joining me back as a volunteer. 25 volunteers from different geography. They are from US, they are from Germany, they are from India, Africa. Everyone is working and they become the flag owner or flagship program for AB Talks. Even I was invited in one of the program in Africa where I had to just come on a stage and then virtually talk about at least 200 plus students. So
Oh,
that is
wow.
where this is growing. And now coming to the Claude Challenge, why I started Claude Challenge, right? Every organization was adopting Anthropic, and that's a fantastic tool that just focuses on solving your code as a first problem. Then it does everything around. So the Claude, even I was learning, I found it's really interesting. I use Claude more than anything else now. So I thought maybe I'll put together a structure. I might even need to hire some of these folks. So let's build it. So 60 days Claude challenge started. The framework was simple. The website built by these volunteers.
Oh, really?
You have to just come and get one green dot on the challenge, which makes you feel good. And that's where people in Dubai, like there are a couple of, I would say, good names. I cannot talk about here in this discussion, but they are also doing Claude challenge. They are connecting me, giving more insights. They are saying, okay, because we are from healthcare, let's do prior authorization, next best action. And that's where this gets more interesting because supply chain, they are talking about, okay, Anil, can you put this as a Claude challenge? And this 60 days Claude challenge was not built in day one. It is like 5 days in advance. So if you talk about if we are on day 50, next 5 days we have the material. Next 5 days is coming from the brainstorming. Now, the biggest challenge that we had, because we wanted to make it free and we don't want even students to pay any money from their pocket. So the biggest challenge that we had, we have to run it on the free tier. So the free tier, how we plan, and I think we did a fantastic job in maintaining it because not even a single rupee has spent in any token so far. One person find a problem, they optimize it. There are a lot of tools in the internet available where you can optimize your prompt so that it can run on free tier. So that person is qualifying the problem, optimizing the prompt, then running it. Second person run it on the free tier again. So that because this person has at least tried 1 or 2 accounts by this time.
Yeah.
So the second person does the QC and then third person finally gives the, so maker, checker, reviewer. We are following this process. And after it is reviewed, it goes live on the portal and then everyone is able to do it seamlessly. So the prompt optimization is one key thing that you should do. And if you talk about the token maxing, there are other advanced techniques. There is a company just built for this token maxing is called Open Router, where you need not to use your big guns for smaller problems. So your work can be done with Haiku. Let's do it. You need to go advanced Sonnet. Let's do it. Then you have to decide when to use Opus, when to use Fable.
So, yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting journey that you have had. What's next?
I'm thinking the interview and the hiring process, and I'm seriously thinking about it. That should be changed because on one side, and I have to hire a lot of engineers in US and India, I have to go through a lot of pain in hiring the right talent. There are a lot of fake profiles, and with AI tools, thanks to these AI tools, with single click, your resume gets applied to 1,000 jobs. On the recipient side, if you don't use AI, you'll end up choosing a wrong candidate, if you think so, right? And then there are a lot of proxy interviews. Everyone knows about it. So I want to change this interview process entirely. I want it to be, hiring should not be interview based, but should be evidence based. So if I take you through 30 days, 60 days challenge, you have to show up every day, show me your commitment. Then I have your entire record for last 30 days, how better you are coding. Use any AI tool which you want to use, but the code should be well running, well written. You should know where to document. And then at the end of 30 days or 60 days, so we are also running US based AI cohort where we had seed to manage for 25. There were more than 40 people applied for it. So we shortlisted. Now we are running with some close to 30 because there will be some dropouts. But let's say that when this batch is graduating, you have the cream, you have the right talent that you can rely upon. They have been consistent for 30 days, no sick leave, no personal leaves, no marriage, no vacation. Even if they are still able to manage the work. That is the right talent for your team.
Correct.
Then they are able to solve problem. We are not promoting any training. We are giving them the problem. We have bookmarked some of the links from internet. You just go and learn from it and then solve it yourself. If you are able to solve it here, which means you are able to solve it in the client system, or you can be a asset for any day.
Excellent story, Anil. And, I wish you all the best with this challenge that you are taking up. I wish many more 60-day challenges, and I will be following up on those challenges per sure. Love it. Moving on from there, just coming back to the topic of our discussion today, I wanted to talk to you from this token matching perspective. What are you seeing in the enterprises as you are implementing these solutions? What kind of controls are being put in place, and how the enterprises are now managing with so many news that have come up, enterprises bursting out their budgets, their annual budget has been burst in within a few months. How is it now getting implemented at the enterprise?
This is the favorite topic if you talk to an CTO or CIO. And I'll tell you the first what is available over the internet, and then I'll tell you what is followed in practical. If you think from a theory perspective, there are a lot of advanced techniques. One, that you can have the context compression, you can have routing techniques, when to use which token, which LLM. And then the third is more about setting up the max token limit, so that let's say if your teams is capable of using $10, $20 every day, it's not go and bump up, right? They should rather wait the next day. So more like the B2C version of the Anthropic, where you get limited tokens per day and then you have to come second day. Now, in terms of the practical thing, yes, monitoring and tracking is the most important thing to control and govern it. So we have built a dashboard, where the dashboard gives you the data, what tokens are used by which team member, and then how it's aggregated to a team level. Since there are a lot of PHI, PII data also involved in the enterprise setup, so you have to be careful, like there should be an anonymization of the data. Still, you want to check whether the tokens are used for productive purpose or not. So that is a silver line that you have to be very careful about. You want to see what your team is doing, whether they are generating the code, they are summarizing the document, or they are writing a story for the kids. That has to be speaking. That has to be something that you have to be like putting the right guardrails from a tracking perspective. And then there should be an alert system also, which we have built, where let's say that maybe you are generating a lot of revenue for the organization, your team is doing the top-notch work, you would like to provide more enablement to your team. Whereas I'm on the other side, not adding a lot of value, but AI has to be adopted, learn slowly, and then I grow my team. So that's where your budget and my budget cannot be the same. They should be alert that maybe your team is having $100 a day, my team might have $10 a day. So there should be a department level or supervisor level checks. My team, if it is $7 out of 10, I get the notification, $10. Okay, my team has used all these budget for today. Similarly, you may get that alert for $70, $80 based on your appetite and productivity. Tracking and alert goes hand in hand, and that's where you have a know-how, and your team also knows that they are not writing their stories rather than they are writing the code. That's incredible. But I have one question to ask, and before this, I believe, as you know, like AI has been so normalized, at least in technical setup, in all service organization, the product organization. I know slowly and gradually, because I could see those who have enrolled for Claude challenge. There are doctors, practitioners, physicians also learning, and I'm sure like people will ask, my patient got a headache, which medicine I should give, right? Correct. So that adaptability will definitely be there. But I got to know that mostly these technical users are using it day in, day out. Just think about it, the way these models, these hyperscalers are making it so generalized for the common public, they cannot live without it. I call this oxygen, right? And that's what they have to live with. But any thought that you are saying, if your team does not have the AI today, will they be able to survive?
Absolutely not. And I can tell you the real story of my own team, right? And we are essentially very heavy user of these code tools. Initially they were quite hesitant. I had to push them very hard to use these, but then when they started using it over a month of time period, when we actually exhausted the budget, the developers were acting as if oh my god, how am I now going to write they've become so dependent on using these tools to write it out that it's very hard to take it out from the system.
So Abhishek, you set up this name, Agents and Actions. It's very interesting one. I want to know the background and how it will evolve in the future?
Thank you for asking that question, Anil. So basically, the inspiration has been, the agents, right? Agents is essentially, while in today's world, people are associating AI and agents synonymously, but agent can actually be a human or that could be an AI, right? An agent has to think and has to have an agency to take an action. It is the action that matters, whether it is being taken by the humans or by the AI. But then in this whole hype of AI, what is getting missed out is the human agent, which is actually making those decisions and performing the action. And therefore, I thought of, why don't we set up some channel where the real practitioners on the ground who have the experience like you guys, you yourself having implemented this in the enterprise, hear the voice of the human agents of how they are doing the action on the ground to implement the AI agents.
Awesome. And where do you see it? This will be evolving in the future.
Yeah, I feel like right now we are at the very beginning of our journey. I want to meet more number of people, hear more stories on the ground. Interestingly, because this is more around the experience on the ground with AI changing its face every day, the stories never end. So I just want to capture as many stories as I can. Having said that, it's very hard to foretell in what will happen in a month's time frame. AI is changing so fast. But then, from the current vantage point that I see, like if you really look at the AI industry, right, it is actually kind of in a very crude sense divided into three layers: the chips layer, the model layer, and the apps layer. With the competition that's going on between the Nvidia, AMD, Google, there is a lot of pressure and commoditization pressure happening at the chips layer. For the models layer, right, all these open source models that have come up in the market, and that was the whole motivation why we thought of posting the EU today and having this conversation around token maxing was because, token maxing actually led to the whole open source models coming mainstream. Chinese open source models are no longer looked like the Chinese models, but being spoken openly, candidly, as open source models. Yep. And how we can leverage them. But what it is actually doing is actually putting a lot of commoditization pressure on the model layer, right? Tokens are already getting cheap. GPT-4, I was reading about it, is almost like 70x cheaper within a year. So as the intelligence is getting cheaper, as more and more open source models come mainstream, the intelligence will become even more cheaper.
One last question. Everyone is talking about agentic AI in 2026. Do you think physical AI is gonna be a real thing in 2027?
I think it is already real. It is around us and we are not seeing. Physical AI, we are thinking again, we have the imagination of the robots walking on the road. I don't think that will happen in 2007. But if you really look or go into an Amazon warehouse, right? There are already robots running on the floor. There is hardly any human running the supply chain. If you go to San Francisco, you've got the robot taxis running around. It is physical AI, right? The way I see is that
AI is getting more accessible and powerful.
it will become omnipresent and pervasive, right? Nobody's thinking about electricity, but it is everywhere. I think AI in its form of intelligence will be everywhere.
Exactly. Awesome. So one thing, like if you are still watching this video and this up to here, I would say two requests. One, you should go and check Abhishek's LinkedIn. You will see much more value and the level of experience that Abhishek has. Even I followed Abhishek, his intelligence without AI, right? So that's one thing. And second thing, there are a lot of work that Abhishek is doing in making these episodes better every day. So I would like you to go subscribe his channel. And obviously, if you are here, there's no question asked, but for subscribe, right? Please subscribe. Please subscribe AV Docs and Agents in Action. Thank you guys.